So what we're going to be covering today is how to use these three tapes: coax seal, 2228 moisture sealing electrical tape, and Super 88 vinyl electrical tape, to make sure that every LNA that gets installed has the maximum amount of protection against harsh environmental conditions. So the goal of this video is to walk you through how to use these three items in the best way possible. So the first item we'll be using is the coax seal tape. They call it a hand moldable plastic. What it actually is it's a butyl tape, and it comes on a roll here with a wax paper to keep the butyl tape from sticking to itself. This stuff is really sticky, and so we want to make sure that care is used in applying this to the connectors, because it can turn into a real mess quickly. The second thing we'll be applying is the 2228 moisture sealing tape. This stuff doesn't bond to anything except for itself. So the way this tape works is you actually peel it off the roll and you stretch it. And I believe they say, there's instructions on the back of it, it says that you're supposed to stretch it to at least 3/4 of the original width of the tape. So as you stretch it, the width starts to shrink, and it's a rough estimate, but when it's roughly about 3/4 of the width that it starts out as, then you know that it's stretched far enough. And then you wrap it around itself, and it actually bonds to itself and fuses together and turns into one big mass of rubber over time. And then finally, what we'll apply over the top of that is the Super 88 vinyl electrical tape. This is a nice, thick, high-quality, heavy-duty electrical tape, and it'll provide better protection to abrasion and impact and things like that over the top of the moisture sealing electrical tape. So it's really just a barrier to protect the moisture sealing tape and the coax seal from damage, really. But those two tapes are going to be the ones that really provide the waterproofing and salt protection. So to start, we have ourselves an LNA here, and try and get that in view for us. We have an LNA, and you can see it has antenna marked on one side and RX marked on the other side, and we already have cables connected here. These are just some nice short cables for this demo example. If I pop my camera off the tripod here real quick, you can see that larger view, the RX side, if we follow that cable, it goes over here to a Radar Plus SM1610-2 receiver. And then if we go back over to the LNA, and then over here to the left, we have a 3-element Yagi antenna that's just used as an example to show which side of the LNA the antenna actually connects to. Most people probably won't have too much trouble mixing those two up. So to get started here, the first thing we want to do is apply coax seal to each connector on the LNA. And so we're going to want to pull off about 5 inches or so of this coax seal, and you can see it's already trying to stick to my fingers. Peel this off the roll, you stretch it, and you just start wrapping it around the connectors. And this is really sticky stuff, and you want to stretch it just slightly as you wrap it around. This cable that I'm using here actually has an adapter on it, so I may have to use a little bit more on this side in order to cover both the BNC and the Type N portions of the connector. So I'm going to use twice as much just on this one side, and the other side is just an N connector. There's no adapters. So this can kind of show you an example of using different cables, and maybe an instance where you might have to use a little more, a little less of the coax seal on the connectors. So get that wrapped in there nice and tight. Just squish it down together. You can see it's trying to stick to my fingers a little bit, but that one, I got a little gap here. Squish that together. I got a little gap there. You can see how it just squishes right together. So that's the first layer. We have the coax seal on there. So now the next step is to take the moisture sealing tape that comes in this roll, comes in a box like that, and we're going to take about roughly 6-7 inches. Right, we're going to break it off, and then we're going to take this chunk. And this stuff has one side that's a little bit sticky and one side that's not sticky. And we're going to want to wrap the sticky side around the connector. I want to make sure that this is on the inside. So we take this and we stretch it way out until it's about 1/3, or sorry, 3/4 the thickness that it originally was. And now we're just going to wrap that around the connector. It doesn't really matter which end you start at. I started at this end for the coax seal, now I'm starting at the other end for the moisture sealing tape. I'm going to keep stretching this as I wrap it around to make sure that it maintains that nice 3/4 size, because it wants to sort of spring back, so make sure that it stays nice and stretched. And I'm going to wrap this all the way out past where the BNC connector is crimped, because I want that to get sealed as well. And I'll double it back a little bit because I have this extra here. Doesn't hurt to use too much of this stuff. So you can see that side's done. Now we're going to apply a roll of the Super 88 electrical tape over the top of that. And this is for abrasion resistance, added durability, added UV protection. Just really protects those other two tapes that we've applied, just that added level of protection. Notice the other two rolls I broke off a chunk, but this roll I'm just wrapping an arbitrary amount around the connector. Don't have to be quite as precise with this. So that side's done. Now we're going to repeat those steps for the other side. You won't take quite as much of the coax seal or the moisture sealing tape on the other side, because we just have a type N on this side. On this side we had a type N to a BNC with an adapter in there, so there was more connector to be covered. And there you have it. There's an LNA that has both connectors well sealed on it. There's not going to be any water that ever gets into those. Now, an additional level of protection that you can take if you're concerned about the paint getting damaged on this LNA over time, either from other equipment in the area or from UV. The paint is very durable. It's a nice powder coat finish, and it's a die-cast aluminum box. But if you do find that you get scratches or some place where salt or water can get under the paint, it could start corroding. So in order to address that, you can take the moisture sealing tape that comes in this box, and you can take a large portion of that, and we can wrap it all the way around the entire LNA. So I'm going to take this chunk of tape and stretch out part of it. I'm not going to stretch the whole thing just to make it easier to work with. But I'm going to start on one connector on the RX side. Doesn't matter which side you start on, but I'm just starting on the RX side. Just going to start wrapping Make sure that I apply tension. The goal here is to just wrap the entire LNA in rubber to give it that extra level of protection against salt and UV and rain, salt spray. Name it. This really adds a lot of protection. Stretch some more of this. I'm wrapping about half, I'm doubling up about half of the tape with each wrap, just to make sure that I get enough material there for each wrap to bond to. I may need to use a little more. I don't think I quite got enough pulled off on that first roll. Yeah, I'm definitely going to use a little bit more. That's okay. There's no reason why it has to be one piece, because this stuff does bond to itself. So peel off another chunk. I'm actually going to start on the other side so that I double back over the top of the LNA again. Stretch this out. Stretch this some more. We're almost done. I think one more layer of the Super 88 electrical tape, the whole thing would be a good idea. So we'll go ahead and do that. You can see I've completely encapsulated the LNA and all the connectors in rubber. So we'll take the Super 88 tape, just apply a nice layer over the top of the whole works. And with these rolls of tape, it's nice that there's quite a bit of tape on each roll. So if you get one kit, you should have enough tape to do several LNA installations. Certainly enough to do at least one octopus installation, which has 4 LNAs. You might even have enough to do more than one octopus installation. Almost done. Just make sure I cover the moisture sealing tape that is on this other connector. There you have it. One completely encapsulated mast-mounted LNA. So you take this now and you can tape it or attach it however you like to the side of your mast or your antenna tower or wherever you plan to install this. But you certainly don't have to worry about any type of salt or water getting inside of that. It's nice and sealed up tight. So, my name again is Christian Johnson. If you have any questions about how to execute these steps, or if you have other installation questions, please feel free to email us at info@shinemicro.com. Hope you found this video informative and useful, and we hope to hear from you. Thank you.